Alright, so I'm going to take you through how to set up the PH 360 profile. We're going to go through all of the skeletal, all of the measurements that we need to get that profile set up. Now I'm using a cool little metal ruler. Measuring tape, which is really easy to use and it's very accurate, but you can use any tape measure, just like the normal ones that they use for sewing. Those cloth flexible ones are fine as well. So with all of the measurements, what you want to try and do is you want to try and be at the right eye level. So at the same height as the measurements. You're aiming for most of them for the measuring tape to be horizontal, and we're always, the easiest way to do it is to go behind the body, to come around, cross the hands over so that you can hold it with one hand, so that when you go around you can adjust the tape to the correct place. This is for all of the measurements. So while we're here, let's start with the first one, which is the forehead measurement. So for this one here, we want to make sure that we're going over the eyebrow, so that bone there. We're going behind the ear, and we're going to the thickest part of the scalp, which you'll often feel at the back. There's a little a bone there, the occiput, that we want to go over. And then from there we come around the front and we pull tight to get that measurement. So for Gav it would be 55.5. So the reason that we're pulling reasonably tight is we wanted to get a measurement of the skull, not of how thick the hair is. Okay, so the next one is probably one of the most difficult ones to do. Very important that we get this one correct. It is the jaw angle measurement. So for this one here, what we want to do is we want to get in close to as close to the ear, so in that jaw area, the TMJ area. What you'll feel there's a bone that comes across here that you come down and you kind of drop off that bone. Okay, so you want to find that part where you're coming down with your fingernail and you come down and you drop off. As soon as you drop off in close to the ear, that's where the measurement starts. So what I recommend that you do is that you use your index finger, so come down, drop off, right in there, okay, use your index finger to hold that point, and then you use your thumb to feel for the angle. So we're trying to get the tape measure to go around and trace that line, the angle around the line of the jaw there. So we're going to put the thumb just on the inside of that angle so that the tape measure wraps around our thumb and follows the line of the jaw. And if you turn it on your head around a little bit more, Gav, that's it. We're going to come around until we're bang smack in the middle of the chin there to get that measurement. So again, it's coming down around our thumb, around that angle of the jaw, and through to the middle of the chin there. Alright, the next one is the neck. Now for the neck measurement, you want to make sure that they've got good posture. So chin in, lengthening the back of the neck, okay? And for females, it's going to be the thinnest part of the neck. And for males, it's going to often be below the Adam's apple. If they've got a really low Adam's apple, you can do it above, but usually it's going to be below. And what you want to make sure with this one, so just below the Adam's apple, is that you're not getting this bulky trap muscle in it. So you don't want to get the muscle, you want to get the thinnest part of the neck. And most of the measurements, we're trying to get a horizontal measurement. For this one, we can naturally follow the natural line of the neck. And unlike the skull measurement, this one we're not going to pull too tight because it's not going to be too comfortable. So just pull gently there to get that measurement. All right. Then press next to go onto the next screen. Okay, so the next one is going to be the chest measurement. So arms out nice and wide. We're going to come around behind with the tape measurement. We're going to bring it up as high as we can under the armpit. So the trick with this one, you know if you're doing it right, if you get a nice sweaty tape measure. So again, crossing the hands, holding with one hand so that you can come around the back, you can pull it up high, and you can make sure it looks horizontal at the back there. Come around to the front. Now you want the tape measure to be reasonably horizontal. You may find that it has a slight natural incline at the front of the chest. That's fine. Gav's going to take a deep breath in. Okay, 95.5, and a deep breath out. Okay, to 93.5. So the top measurement was 95.5, the bottom measurement was 93.5. So we're going to take the middle of that, which is 94.5, and that is going to be our measurement there. The next one is going to be the line of the ribs. So if the two ways to find this point, you can either come up the ribs and feel where you get to the apex of the rib cage there, or you can come down the breastbone or the sternum until you feel that you get to this little knobbly bone before you drop off into the abdomen. That's the bottom of that xiphoid process there. Actually, Gav, I'm going to get you to put your one hand there just for now. Fantastic. Okay, now this arm goes up. Okay, for females, this is often the line of where the bra goes. So you either need to get them to take the bra off underneath their top, or you can get them to hold up their breasts and their bra as well so that you can get the right line there. Okay, I'm going to come around the back. I'm going to come to where Gav's been holding that point for me right there. Fantastic, you can put that other arm up. I'm going to come around the back, make sure that's horizontal and all in line. Okay, and then just pulling that reasonably tight there, and then Gav's going to take a nice deep breath in. So the same as the last one, we're taking that midway point. So that was 88 down to 85. So we're going to take that midway point there, which I think will be 86.5. Okay, so the next one we're going to get is the waist measurement. Now this one, unlike the last two, we're not taking the difference between the biggest breath in and the biggest breath out. We're just taking the mid-range of a normal tidal breath, just a normal breath, no deep breaths. To find these points, we'll just take the arms out just to make it easier. We're going to come down the side of the rib cage, until we just drop off under the bottom of that lowest floating rib there. So that's why it's really important that we're right on the side there. And that's going to be our waist measurement point. This one, obviously, for guys, is probably easier if they've got their top off for all of these three measurements. For females, it's quite good to get them to just lift, if they're comfortable with that, to lift their top up, just so you're not getting the top in that. But yeah, coming down, then rechecking, yep, it's just under that bottom rib. On this side, it's just under that bottom floating rib there. You've made sure that it's nice and horizontal, and you're not pulling too tight, just a gently kind of firm measurement there on a normal tidal breath. Okay, so now we've got the glute measurement. So for this one, easier to get them to go side on, and see how side on. We'll get,
everything.
now I'm going to go here. Okay, now I want you to put your feet together. Okay, so for this one here, we're trying to get the most sticky out part of the glute. Okay, so we bring the tape measure around, again hold with one hand so that we can adjust that to get that nice and straight. Again, we want to get the most sticky out part of the bum towards the back. Find that spot, and then for this one we're going to pull reasonably tight, because we don't want to get clothing measurement. We want to get an idea of the glute measurement, and it can add 2 to 3 centimeters with clothes, especially with jeans. So pulling that reasonably tight to get that measurement there, and then press next. Okay, so now we're up to the arm measurements. So we're going to take the least dominant arm unless they've had an injury. So Gav's had no injuries to his left arm and he's right-handed, so we're going to go down the left side for all of these measurements. The first one is going to be the elbow measurement. So for this one here, we want to make sure that we're getting these bones on either side of the elbow. So these bones in here and we want to make sure that we get this elbow, this olecranon, and this elbow bone at the back here, and the crease in the measurement, because we wanted to get an idea of the thickness of the joint. So bring that over there, hold with one hand, recheck to make sure that you've got both bones, so those side bones in there, that you've got that bone in the back in, and then pull reasonably tight, because again this is joint structure that we wanted to get an idea of the size of, and then you've got that measurement. So the next one is the wrist measurement. Okay, so for this one here, I find it easier to turn the hand over and to feel that knobbly bone on that little finger side. You want to be slightly above that, so slightly off that bone, closer to the body, and that's going to be the thinnest part of the wrist. So often where people put their wrist watch. Okay, double check again that you're above that bone, that it's nice and straight, pulling reasonably firmly on this, and you've got that measurement there. Next we've got two measurements, now really important. So we've got the palm measurement and we've got the whole of the hand length measurement. Now really important that we take both of these measurements in one go, because we're looking at the ratios between that are really important. Okay, so For the hand length one, well, for both of them, so you see how there's 3 creases here on Gab? We want to take the crease that's closest to the palm. That's the one that we're taking. Some people have dominant creases coming up right over their hand. Don't use that one. For most people, it's the crease closest to the hand that you take. So we're going to put that there. Gab's going to keep his hands nice and straight. Okay, and I'm going to come down from above and I'm going to look down from on top, and I'm going to go for the hand length one. I'm going to look from above and I'm going to take the very longest part of that longest finger, so that's 19.5, and then for the palm length we're going to take that measurement to this crease here. So in the same measurement, I'm going to say that is 11 centimeters here to that crease for the palm. All right, and then press next. We're down to the leg. Now, it's not so important to get the least dominant leg for the legs. What you're trying to aim for is the most normal leg. So, because Gav's played many years of badminton and all right-legged sort of lunges, and he's had no injuries to the left leg, we're going to use the left leg for all of the leg measurements, and we're going to remember in future times to use the left leg as well. Okay, so the first one is the mid-thigh. Now this one's a little bit tricky to find. So what we want to do is we want to try and get the top of the head of the femur down to the knee here. So to find that, I'm going to put my hands on both sides. So I'm going to bring this up a little bit there. Okay, I'm going to take this hand's going to be supporting this hip so he doesn't fall over, and with this hand I'm going to be putting a reasonable amount of pressure. Now up here I'm on the hip bone. We don't want to be up this high. We want to come down lower, and you want to feel with the heel of your hand, it will feel like a ball. It'll be like a bony ball, which is that head part of the femur. So we're now going to find that top part of the ball, and you can feel how that goes in just before it comes up to the glute. So that's my first point there. Oops, 1 inches, there we go, that's it there. Okay, we're going to come down the side of the leg, and what you'll feel is that you've got tissue, and down by the knee we'll then bump into bone. And on the outside of that bone there, that's where we take that measurement, and we go down to, okay, so for Gav it's about 44 centimetres, so we take half of that, and it's 22 centimetres. So at 22 centimetres, I'm going to get Gav to put his finger there. Actually, let's, yeah, ideally would do this with the shorts rolled up so we can be right on the skin there. So we were getting the length of the femur just to get that halfway point to get our mid-thigh girth measurement. So we're going to bring that around, hold with one hand to make sure that that's nice and horizontal and it's at the right height. Okay, and then we're going to take that measurement, just don't have to pull too tight, just a reasonably firm measurement there. Okay, so the next one is the knee. So for the knee measurement, what we wanted to get, if you come around and face the front there, if you look at both sides of the knee there, if you feel there's these bones on both sides. So we want to make sure that the measurement is getting the bones. Come around this way a little bit more here. Yep. And we want to make sure we're getting part of this kneecap, and it may go over the crease at the back of the knee, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is you're getting these bones and a little bit of the patella or that kneecap bone in there as well. So again, hold one hand, come around, make sure that's nice and horizontal, that you've got check that you've got the right bones in there. Pull reasonably tight, because again, this is getting the joint structure girth, and you've got that one. Coming side on please, Gav, for the calf measurement. For the calf, we want to get the widest part of the calf. So again, you want to make sure you're at the right height here, so I recommend lying down on the ground or getting them up on a chair, and I'm going to eyeball it and say that this here is the widest part of the calf. So you're going to come around, and keeping that horizontal, you're going to measure that. So that's 36 and a half there. So then I'm going to go slightly above that. Okay, it's a little bit, that's lower, and I'm going to come slightly below that. Okay, still 36 and a half. Okay, yeah. So you find what you think is the widest part of the calf, then you check above and below, and you go with the biggest calf measurement, which for Gab is 36 and a half. Cool. All right, almost there, guys. So the next one is the ankle joint measurement, and very similar to the wrist joint measurement, we're finding that knobbly bone on the outside there, and we're coming just above it, so closer to the body. And this is going to be the narrowest part of the ankle. Okay, so we're going to look at that, make sure that's horizontal, and we're going to be pulling reasonably firmly on that one there to get that measurement. Lucky last, we're going to get the foot measurements. We're going to do it against there. I find it easier to do this one against the wall. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get him to lift up, and I'm going to get him to put that down. Okay, so that he's pinning the tape measure down with his foot. So I'm just going to bring that up to the side there, yep, and put that down. So my tape measure is now perpendicular to the wall, and his foot is perfectly perpendicular to the wall as well. And we're making sure that his big toe or his second toe, whichever one's longest, is just touching the wall at the front. And we're going to look behind, and we're going to see for him it's 25.8 centimetres is where he, 25.8 centimetres is where it's just the end part of the heel there to get the foot length measurement. Something that I didn't mention is at the start of these measurements, you wanted to make sure that you're getting your height and your weight. So with the weight measurement, you want to make sure that you're ideally, and when you're doing the remeasures, that you're taking the weight at the same time of day, with your shoes off, with not heavy clothing on, and you want to ideally use the same scales each time and on a firm surface. And as for the height, ideally you'd have had it done at some stage at the doctor's or at the gym or somewhere where they've actually got a proper measuring device that they can do it really accurately. If not, and you're doing it yourself, just put them up against the wall, and make sure that they're keeping good posture, chin in, lengthening, and making themselves kind of tall with good posture, and then using a book to put it against the wall and measuring from the top all the way down to the ground, because we want to get an idea of how tall they are, not how tall they are when they're hunched. So with good posture, they're the key points there. Awesome, have fun.